In Ukraine, a Russian T-90M tank, the most advanced vehicle in Moscow's arsenal, was destroyed by a single drone that cost less than $1,000. The pilot was sitting in a basement miles away. The tank crew never saw what hit them. This is happening every day. In Warsaw, military planners have been watching every frame of footage because Poland just signed a contract to buy more main battle tanks than Germany, France, the United Kingdom, and Italy operate combined. Over 1,000 K2 Black Panthers, the largest tank order in modern European history, and every single one of them is being redesigned around one question. How do you keep a 60-ton armored vehicle alive in a battlefield where the cheapest weapon ever invented is the most lethal? The answer sits on the roof of the K2. It is called the ZSMU A3, built by Zakłady Mechaniczne Tarnów in southern Poland, and it is the most aggressive anti-drone solution any NATO country has put on a tank. But the simulation Polish researchers ran on this exact configuration revealed something nobody expected. Even with every layer of protection working perfectly, the K2 has a vulnerability that will not be fixed before 2028. The drone war did not just change armored warfare. It exposed the fact that every tank currently rolling off Western production lines is fighting the last war. Poland is the only NATO country building tanks for the next one. And the question is not whether the K2 will be enough. The question is what happens to every other NATO country if it is not. To understand why Poland went this direction, you have to start with what they saw across the border. In February 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine, the world expected a conventional armored war. T-72s, T-90s, T-80s, the kind of fight tank Doctrine had prepared for since the 1980s. What actually unfolded was something different. By mid-2023, FPV drones costing between $400 and $1,000 were destroying tanks worth $4 to $5 million each. Russian forces tried welding metal cages, called cope cages, onto turret roofs. They worked against early munitions. Then drone operators learned to slam straight into engine grills, side armor, and rear hulls. Cope cages became symbols of desperation. Tanks burned anyway. Poland was donating its T-72s and PT-91s to Kyiv. Entire armored brigades were being stripped down. Polish defense planners faced two problems at once. They needed to replace the tanks they had given away, and they needed those replacements to survive a battlefield Western armor was not designed for. In January 2020, Poland had already opened negotiations with Hyundai Rotem in South Korea. The K2 Black Panther was a known quantity, modern, lethal, expensive, and crucially, available immediately. South Korea could deliver tanks faster than Germany could deliver Leopards. That alone changed everything. On June 13, 2022, Poland's Ministry of Defense signed a Memorandum of Understanding for at least 180 K2s. By July 27, 2022, the framework was bigger than anyone expected. 1,000 tanks total, 180 K2s in Korean configuration, 820 K2 built in Poland. On August 26, 2022, in the northern town of Morag, the first executive contract was signed. $3.37 billion. The first 10 K2 tanks arrived in Poland on December 5, 2022. 3 months from paperwork to deployment. That timeline alone embarrassed every Western defense ministry watching. But the K2 Poland received in 2022 was not designed for the drone war either. Not yet. The Korean K2s, like every other modern Western tank, had been engineered against anti-tank guided missiles, RPGs, and other tanks. Drones were not in the threat model when these vehicles were designed. The K2 had to fix that. The architecture they came up with is not a single defensive system. It is 3 stacked layers, each designed to kill drones at a different distance. The first layer is electronic warfare. Built into the K2's hull and turret are jamming systems designed to disrupt the radio link between an FPV drone and its operator. Most consumer and military FPV drones rely on a 2.4 GHz or a 5.8 GHz frequency. Cut that signal and the drone goes blind. It crashes, drifts, or hovers uselessly until it runs out of battery. Polish simulations would later show this layer alone neutralizes nearly half of every drone fired at the tank. The second layer is the active protection system. The K2PL is being equipped with a hard-kill active protection system based on South Korea's KAPS-2 architecture, originally developed by Hanwha and the Korean Agency for Defense Development. KAPS-2 uses a network of millimeter-wave radars mounted around the turret. The radars provide 360 degrees of coverage and detect incoming threats at the speed of light. When a threat is identified, small interceptor turrets mounted on the tank automatically fire fragmentation munitions to destroy it before impact. Active protection systems were originally designed to defeat anti-tank missiles, but Korean engineers have adapted KAPS-2 specifically for drone interception. The third layer is reactive armor. The K2PL carries Pangolin explosive reactive armor blocks across its sides and turret. Pangolin is designed to detonate outward when struck, disrupting the shaped charge jet that most anti-tank munitions and drone warheads rely on. Even if a drone gets past electronic warfare and the active protection system, Pangolin gives the tank one final chance. That brings us to what sits on top of all of this: the ZSMU A3 roof turret, manufactured by Zakłady Mechaniczne Tarnów. ZMT first unveiled the system at MSPO 2016 in Kielce. It is a remote-controlled weapon station, meaning the gunner operates it from inside the tank with no need to expose a crew member to the outside. The system weighs 330 kilograms and is two-axis gyro-stabilized, which means it can track targets accurately even when the tank is moving over rough terrain at speed. The weapon options matter. The ZSMU A3 can carry a 12.7mm heavy machine gun with up to 200 rounds, or a 40mm automatic grenade launcher with 32 grenades, paired with a 7.62mm coaxial machine gun. The 40mm grenade option is the critical one. Programmable airburst ammunition allows the grenade to detonate at a precise distance from the launcher, sending fragments outward in a cone. Against a small drone, that is the difference between hitting a target the size of a dinner plate and saturating the airspace around it. The optics package on the ZSMU A3 includes a thermal imaging camera with a maximum detection range of 12 kilometers, a daylight camera, and a laser rangefinder. The thermal camera is what makes drone interception viable at night, when most current FPV operations occur to avoid visual detection. And there is one more feature that nobody else in the world offers. The ZSMU can fire NATO standard ammunition or Russian standard ammunition, and switching between them takes only a few minutes. That is not an accident. Poland has been thinking about ammunition logistics on a continental scale. This is the most overlooked detail of the K2PL program. The active protection system, the electronic warfare suite, and the ZSMU A3 turret all work together. A PS handles fast threats inside 50 meters. EW handles drone control links at distance. The ZSMU A3 fills the middle gap, engaging drone swarms before they get close enough to require hard-kill interception. 3 weapons, 3 ranges, 1 integrated kill chain. Then Polish researchers ran the numbers, and the results are the most detailed public assessment of how a modern tank performs against drone swarms anywhere in the open-source world. Paweł Makowiak is a researcher at the General Tadeusz Kościuszko Military University of Land Forces. His team built a simulation of K2PL platoons, 4 tanks each, facing FPV drone swarms. They modeled every layer of protection. They ran the simulation thousands of times across different scenarios. The aggregate dataset covered 10,000 drone engagements. The results broke down the kill chain with precision. 49% of all drones, roughly 4,900 across every iteration, were neutralized by electronic warfare. The jammers worked. They worked better than most Western analysts expected. Another 17.18%, 1,718 drones, were intercepted by the Active Protection System, APS. APS performed roughly as designed. Another 7.89%, 789 drones, were stopped by Pangolin reactive armor. Added up, that is 74% of all incoming drones killed before they could damage the tank. But 26% got through. The simulation found that, on average, destroying a single K2PL required approximately 38 FPV drones. Pause on that number. 38 cheap commercial-grade drones in a coordinated swarm to kill one tank. That is a survivability ratio no other Western tank currently achieves. By comparison, Russian tanks in Ukraine have been disabled by single drones routinely. The M1 Abrams, the Leopard 2, the Challenger 2, none of them have anything close to this layered architecture in service today. Then Makowietz's team changed one variable. They ran the simulation again with fiber optic drones instead of standard FPV. Fiber optic drones do not use a radio signal. They trail a thin glass cable behind them, sometimes 10 or 20 kilometers long, that physically connects them to the operator. There is nothing for the K2PL's electronic warfare suite to jam. The signal is not a signal. It is a wire. Survivability collapsed. Average post-attack survival fell to 2.65 tanks per platoon out of 4. 19.6% of fiber optic drone hits resulted in complete tank destruction. The first defensive layer, the layer doing 49% of the work, became useless. This is what military theorists call APS saturation. Active protection systems carry a finite number of interceptors. Once an APS is overwhelmed, the tank is naked. Fiber optic drones do not need to defeat the APS. They just need to outnumber it. Russia has been deploying fiber optic drones in Ukraine since late 2024. Production volumes are still small relative to standard FPV models, but they are growing. The K2PL's full configuration, including its electronic warfare suite and complete APS integration, will not be operational until between 2028 and 2030. Poland is currently receiving K2 tanks in gap-filler configuration, called K2GF, which lacks most of the anti-drone capability. As of late 2025, none of Poland's deployed K2 tanks have full counter-UAV systems. South Korea's own K2 tanks do not either. That means Poland is building the most advanced anti-drone tank in NATO, and there is a 4-year window where it does not yet exist on Polish soil. Defense Minister Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz has committed Poland to spending 5% of GDP by 2026. NATO estimates Poland will spend 4.5% of GDP this year, up from 2.2% a decade ago. In absolute terms, Poland's defense budget for 2025 reached 186.6 billion zlotys, roughly $45 billion. That's the 6th largest defense budget in NATO, larger than Italy, larger than Spain, larger than the Netherlands. By 2030, the Polish army will field 296 K2GF tanks, 64 full K2PL tanks, 25 engineering vehicles on the K2 chassis, 25 armored bridge layers, and 31 armored evacuation vehicles. The framework agreement covers 820 K2PLs total. The combined operational tank fleets of Germany, France, the United Kingdom, and Italy currently sit at 950 units. Poland alone will operate more. Slovakia has already expressed interest in buying the K2PL once Polish production lines reach scale. Other NATO countries are watching. The K2PL isn't just a Polish program anymore. It's becoming the template for what a survivable tank looks like in the drone era. But there's a deeper truth in the simulation data that nobody in Brussels or Washington wants to discuss publicly. Every other NATO main battle tank in service today, the Abrams, the Leopard 2, the Challenger 2, the Leclerc, would not survive what the K2PL is being designed to survive. The drone war exposed a generational gap in Western armor. Poland is the only country closing it. The ZSMU A3 isn't just a weapon system, it's an admission that the tank, as a concept, almost didn't survive the lessons of Ukraine, and that the cost of staying in the game is rebuilding armored doctrine from the turret roof down. Russia learned this the hard way, with burning hulls in the fields outside of Avdiivka. Poland is learning it the smart way, with simulations, contracts, and assembly lines in Poznan and Gliwice. The next war in Europe will be decided by which side adapted faster. Poland has placed its BET, 1,000 tanks, 3 layers of defense, and a roof turret built to do what no Western tank has ever been asked to do. Whether 38 drones is enough margin in a real war against a real swarm, with fiber optic cables trailing behind every 4th aircraft, is a question nobody can answer until it happens. But Poland is the only NATO country that won't have to ask it from a position of weakness.